Welcome to Revolutionary Optimism. Issues like economic hardship, a teetering democracy, and the worsening climate emergency have left many Americans feeling more despair than ever. Fortunately, physician, humanitarian, and social justice advocate Dr. Paul Zeitz has identified revolutionary optimism as a new cure for that hopelessness and cynicism. Once you commit yourself as a revolutionary optimist, you can bravely unleash your personal power, #unify with others, and accelerate action for repair, justice, and peace. On this podcast, Dr. Zeitz is working to provide you with perspectives from leaders fighting for equity, justice, and peace on their strategies for overcoming adversity and driving forward revolutionary transformation with optimism. Here's your host, Dr. Paul Zeitz.
Hello, friends. I'm Dr. Paul Zeitz, co-founder of Unify USA. Let me start with a fact that could stop us in our tracks. Last year, polling showed that 76% of Americans, Republicans, Democrats, and independents alike, say our political system needs major changes. That's not a partisan divide. That's a national consensus, a cry from the heart of America that something fundamental must change. Whether you're a teacher in Ohio, a small business owner in Texas, or a retiree in Oregon, you probably looked at our politics and thought, something's broken. And here's the thing, it's not your imagination. I hear it everywhere I go. People say I don't feel represented, I don't trust the process, the powerful seem to play by different rules. And they're right. The system isn't broken by accident. It's been tilted away from us, the people. At this time, we are living through serious challenges to our democracy. People across the political spectrum are worried about election integrity, about districts being drawn to favor politicians instead of people, about the outsized influence of big money in politics, about leaders who seem more accountable to powerful interests than to the communities they serve. And trust is eroding in the very institutions that are supposed to safeguard our freedom. Some Americans see leaders consolidating too much power in one branch of government. Others fear our most basic freedoms, freedom of speech, freedom of the press, freedom to assemble, are under attack. And as we approach America's 250th birthday on July 4th, 2026, just 10 months from now, many of us are concerned that the celebration of our founding ideals could become little more than a show, distracting us from the deeper truth that the system is not working the way it should. The bottom line is that trust is breaking down, and when trust in democracy collapses, authoritarian control begins to creep in. Our democracy is broken in three big ways. First, representation. In too many states, politicians choose their voters instead of voters choosing their politicians. Gerrymandering tilts the scales before the first vote is even cast. Second, the process. Confidence in election integrity has fallen to historic lows. Across party lines, Americans doubt whether the rules are fair, and if we don't trust the process, we can't trust the results. Third, power. More and more decisions that affect millions are being made by unchecked and unelected officials with limited oversight. Checks and balances, the very cornerstone of our system, are being eroded. Representation, process, and power. These aren't abstract concepts. They're the foundation of whether democracy works for you and your family. Now, hearing all this might feel overwhelming. Here's what gives me hope and should give you hope too. America has been here before. During the progressive era, ordinary citizens fought for and won the direct election of senators and women's suffrage. During the civil rights movement, citizens marched, organized, risked their lives, and expanded voting rights and equal protection. What did these movements have in common? They didn't wait for permission. They rose up from the ground. They organized neighbor by neighbor, community by community, until impossible change became inevitable. And we can do it again. We don't need to burn it all down. What we need is democratic renewal to strengthen and update the Constitution so it serves all of us in today's world. That's what we're building with hashtag Unify USA. We are calling for a National Citizens Assembly in June 2026 to ratify a proposed Citizens Constitution. Picture it, a true cross-section of America drawn from every state, farmers and teachers, truck drivers and nurses, veterans and students, coming together to deliberate on the future of our democracy. Not politicians, not lobbyists, not insiders. Ordinary people working face to face to propose updates to the Constitution that reflect today's realities, not the compromises of 1787. And this won't happen in a vacuum. Leading up to the National Assembly, we are aiming to catalyze local and state level consultations where neighbors can deliberate on the issues that matter most. We'll also use secure digital platforms so that millions of Americans can share their ideas, debate proposals, and crowdsource our citizens' Constitution. And what kinds of issues can we take on? What if every American's vote truly counted equally, no matter which state they lived in? What if we had real-time transparency about who's funding political campaigns? What if districts were drawn fairly, not rigged to protect politicians? What if you could actually understand what's in the bills your representatives vote on, written in plain English instead of lawyer speak? These aren't radical ideas. They are common sense reforms that most Americans already support. This is not left or right. This is not blue or red. This is about whether the system works for all of us. Once the National Citizens Assembly approves a proposed Citizens Constitution, we then aim to bring that to a popular vote and then to mobilize a moral fusion movement that puts pressure on state legislators to ratify the people's agenda. Now, I can practically hear some of you thinking, I've heard this before, grassroots movements that go nowhere. Here's what's different. We're not waiting for politicians to reform themselves. We are building the public pressure that makes reform inevitable. This isn't naive. This is how democracy is supposed to work. This is bold. The founders didn't have permission either. They just had courage, and so do we. And let me be clear, this works within our democratic framework. Think of it as the largest citizen input process in American history. That's exactly what we're building with Unify USA, a cross-partisan, citizen-led movement to reclaim our democracy, not by relying on elites or billionaires, not by waiting for Washington to fix itself, but by creating space for everyday Americans to deliberate together and decide our future. And we already have a blueprint. It's called the Freedom Charter. It's not about left-wing policies or right-wing policies. It's about basic conditions that allow every community to thrive. It says clearly the people shall govern, not the powerful few. Everyone deserves personal freedom and safety. Every person deserves dignity and the right to control their own body and identity. No one should fall through the cracks. Health, housing, food must be treated as basic rights in the richest nation in the world. And it says plainly, our democracy must be protected from authoritarian rule, from corruption, and from the capture of power by a narrow elite. Let me tell you why this matters so much to me personally. In my years working on democracy issues here at home and around the world, I've learned one simple truth. Real change doesn't come from Washington. It comes from conversations like this one. It comes from the people. And as a grandfather, I think about my own grandchildren. I want them to grow up believing that democracy works, not just reading about it in the history books. Whether you have children, grandchildren, nieces, nephews, or you simply care about the next generation of Americans, the question is the same. What kind of democracy will they inherit? Will it be the one where their voices matter, where they can trust institutions, where they can work across differences to solve problems? Or will it be a system captured by the powerful, where trust has collapsed and division and polarization rules? That's what this is really about, which brings me to why I need your help. So here's what we must do, not next year, not someday, but now. This September, Unify USA is mobilizing in 13 states and territories with the aim of going national as fast as possible. This isn't just a rally, it's the beginning of a sustained, peaceful uprising of hope and determination, a movement of democratic renewal. And here's how you can join us today. Step 1, visit unify-usa.org and read the Freedom Charter. It's only 500 words, and it captures what most Americans already believe. Step 2, host a kitchen table conversation with 3 to 5 neighbors this month. We provide a discussion guide, and you just need to provide the space and maybe some coffee. Submit your ideas to refresh the Constitution through our Generation Refresh campaign. Step 3, join our volunteer network. We need storytellers, organizers, artists, teachers, designers, and whatever your talents. This movement needs you. And step 4, please donate to expand the movement in your state. Small steps, big impact. This is your moment to be part of history, because democracy isn't a spectator sport. Friends, the stakes are high, but the opportunity is even higher. The window for peaceful democratic renewal won't stay open forever. Right now, in this moment, we have a chance to be the generation that strengthened democracy instead of watching it collapse. So imagine this, walking into the voting booth in 2028, knowing your voice and millions of others helped shape the very system you're participating in. Imagine telling your children and your grandchildren in your community, yes, I stood up. I helped renew American democracy. The choice is ours. The moment is now. The power is us. So please join us. Read the Freedom Charter, gather your neighbors, offer your skills, and be part of the emergency mobilization this September. Together, we can strengthen our democracy, not to divide, but to unite, not to destroy, but to renew, not to despair, but to hope. I'm Dr. Paul Zeitz with the Revolutionary Optimism podcast. Thank you for listening, and thank you for believing in America's future.
Are you ready to be part of the revolution? To learn more about revolutionary optimism, please visit revolutionaryoptimism.com. To get to know Dr. Zeitz, please visit drpaulzeitz.org. And to explore building movements, please visit unifymovements.org. If you like this show, be sure to follow on your favorite podcast app so you don't miss an episode. Revolutionary Optimism, transforming the world one episode at a time.